Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a great conference. Great atmosphere here, I must say. It's a very interesting new portfolio I have, and I value it very much for all sorts of reasons. But some people think it's strange that UKIP has a woman and an equality spokeswoman at all. It's probably not what they expect of us. To them I say, don't worry. We haven't gone all politically correct. It doesn't mean that we will be calling for quotas or assisted places in every walk of life. It doesn't mean we want to pass laws to ensure that both genders and people from every conceivable religious and ethnic background are represented in every public or private body in precisely the proportions they make up in our society either. No, that's not where we're coming from. But what it does mean is that we will work to ensure that every British citizen from every background has a chance to fulfil their potential in life and does not face the arbitrary barriers of their race, or their class, or their gender, or their religious affiliation, or their sexual orientation. There is still racial prejudice in our society, as there is in every society. But in my view, it's very hard to sustain that idea that today a general or pervasive racism is the biggest impediment to people in minority communities achieving their goals. Indeed, for every minority ethnic group seen to be underachieving, there is another overachieving in sectors from enterprise to sport to medicine and the arts. The truth is that increasingly what holds people back from enjoying the full benefits and opportunities that British citizenship has to offer are cultural barriers rooted within their own communities. Examples include the low priority given to formal education with many travelling families, and indeed with many white working-class families too, or a second-class status accorded to women in mainly Islamic communities. It should be a cause for national shame that so many girls are growing up in our country for whom all the victories of women's rights campaigners may as well have taken place on another planet. These are the girls who cannot go out, let alone marry who they choose, or who are at risk or subjected to the abomination of female genital mutilation. And from whom the threat of so-called honour violence, even honour killing, is a constant restraint on the choices that they may make, and who face almost routine removal of the right to vote at the hands of male, so-called community leaders who fill in postal ballots for them, and who are forbidden from following a career path in their abilities, whichever suits them, and are put under huge pressure to wear a full veil covering which covers their face in public. In every major city and town in this land, there are women living in this pre-emancipation, pre-suffrage state. These are the real victims of inequality. These are the women most in need of a fearless, plain-speaking champion. And I intend UKIP to be that champion. And I say to the British feminist movement, you've done a great job. The years you've opened up all sorts of walks of life for women. And I would not dispute for a moment that the scourge of domestic violence is still prevalent in households of every social class. But really, your sense of priorities has gone awry. It is time to let rip the outrageous and the constrained chauvinism that is at work with some in our minority communities, instead of turning a blind eye for fear of being accused of racism. In that attitude which allowed the terrible abuse of many thousands of young working-class British girls at the hands of grooming gangs made up of young men from predominantly Muslim backgrounds. And I'm proud that UKIP never got suckered into that mindset. We have been the whistleblowers, not the turners of blind eyes. And yes, it was horrible to be falsely accused of racism. But hey, do you know what? We're used to that. And yes, every woman still has to deal with male chauvinist attitudes from time to time. Once in a while, we even encounter them in UKIP. But you know what? We encounter a bloke who is treating us as second-class citizens. Well, we feel perfectly entitled to put them straight. Don't we, ladies? I think we do. But we are the fortunate ones. Of course we are. We're in UKIP. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to bring our brand of common sense to the wider debate, some plain speaking and honesty. It is time to campaign on these issues from a position of reality, not sound bites and self-indulgent tokenism. It is time to campaign as only UKIP can, and to bring some real change to the lives by proposing real solutions. Thank you.